Hi everyone, I'm Tim Kitzrow, and they're not. You're watching Big Ryan the Fat Guy. Okay, fine, I'll say it. Boom shakalaka. There, you happy?
It's none of your business.
What's up, YouTube? It's the NFL Week 3 picks against the spread video for the 2020 NFL season. Fat Guy, we're 12-19 for the season. It hasn't been very strong for us. Hopefully we can turn that around and help people make some money coming up in Week 3. Let's jump straight into the picks. The Miami Dolphins travel to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The Jaguars are 3-point favorites at home. 62% of early bettors are on the Jags Thursday night. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, first of all, Jaguars, and you have a green screen behind you that's not even filled in. How can anyone take you seriously? That's why we're going with the Miami Dolphins, and we're going to get 3 points. 38% of bettors are on the Dolphins. You know who's surprising people? Jacksonville. Everyone's
Definitely.
doing this thing. Oh, they're throwing the season, this, that, and the other. They've had 2 strong performances. They're 1-1. But Big Rye, can you really, count them out of any game so far?
No. And it's definitely like a Ewing theory thing, but they've gotten rid of so many, like I'll call them key players, but it probably was just a bunch of cancers in the locker room. And this Jacksonville team seems like they're playing as one cohesive unit, which they weren't as in previous seasons.
Big Rye's trying to be low-key cool with dropping the Ewing theory. Ewing theory is an idea from what are we going to call him? Uh,
Sports writer, let's say.
Sports writer, sports enthusiast, sports mentor for us. A guy we really respect. Horolibus Vulgaris, maybe the best sports bettor of all time. So his idea is that a team gets better when you remove the stars, and they're underrated. So I obviously there's some sort of tilting fabrication to that, but that might be the case with the Jacksonville Jags, and I think they've won over better hearts. -3, like they're favorites. It's like weird to say the Jags are favorites. I know it's Miami. I know Miami's not good, but Miami can tumble. Miami can throw it down, and I'm going to be taking them. I'm going to be taking them with the 3 points. I want to get 3.5, though. I got to be honest. For the contest, it's 3. I probably won't be betting this unless I can get 3.5 or 3 with good juice.
All right, Fat Guy, let's move on to the next game. Sunday's early slate. We'll start off with the Houston Texans traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, who are 5-point favorites at home. 37% of early bettors are on the Steelers. Who you got?
You know what I found very interesting about this early, I guess, betting volume is like how are the Texans garnering any sort of interest? Let's say because they've had. I will give them credit. The Texans have had the worst, most difficult 2 games you can have. They have the Chiefs in week 1 on the opening game on Thursday, and then 10 days later they have the Baltimore Ravens, they look the part. They look great. And Pittsburgh Steelers, they did cover, but it wasn't a inspiring performance against the Giants. They didn't cover my bet of the week. I'm now 1-1. So the Denver Broncos were able to cover against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like the Steelers again this week, and this defense, even though I had a little bit of reservations about it, and fantasy it was ranked number 1, and wasn't sure what the hubbub was about, but I do think they're actually pretty good. Steelers are a good drafting franchise. They're a hallmark franchise. I like them in this game. I think the Steelers are a little bit underrated. 5 points. Oddly enough, I almost always take the dog, but in this case, I'll lay the 5. I'll take the Steelers.
All right, Fat Guy, next game up, the Tennessee Titans travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Vikings are 1.5-point underdogs at home. 20% of early bettors are on the Vikings. Who you got?
Take the money line, take the Vikings. And I was with a cohort who is a big Vikings fan earlier this evening, and not impressed with them. But bookmakers don't put out lines just to lose. And I think maybe I learned my lesson with laying points with the Titans. 10.5 is a lot different than 1.5, but it's the Vikings at home. They should be able to win this game. I think it's a clear-cut Vikings choice. Titans are somehow a popular team almost, considering they're 2-0. They covered not in week 2. They weren't able to cover a large spread against the Jags. And, depending on the line you got, they weren't able to cover against Denver. But the 2 wins is going to carry a little bit of weight. And I don't see this being too much of a difference in teams. Like, Minnesota at home should be a small favorite, even though home is negligible considering there's no to very little fans, pending on the week, pending on the area. I do like the Vikings, but if you're going to take plus 1.5, you might as well take them on the money line. Hopefully, you get like plus 108, plus 110. So let's go with the Vikings.
Next up, the Chicago Bears travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. The Falcons are 3-point favorites at home, and 74% of early bettors are on the Falcons. Fat Guy, who you got?
We're going to use a little bit of predictive stuff here because 74% early. I mean, it's not the contrarian play to take the Falcons, but I'll be taking them. What an abhorrent end to the Dallas game. They covered, yeah, great. No, I'm happy. You're happy. Made a little money on that game, but like the losing of it, like it stings almost. And Chicago is a quiet 2-0. They're able to beat the Giants, not cover, and they're able to avoid a defeat at the hands of the Lions. I really don't think Chicago's that good. I think Atlanta's better. 3 is not a bad number. I'll be putting down serious money if it gets down to 2.5. But I like Atlanta. I don't mind laying 3 points. And I think this betting volume is going to shift a little bit. And if you can get money down on the Falcons -3, I suggest doing it now. 3.5 is almost a killer. It's that half point between 3 and 3.5 is the most significant half point in all of NFL betting. So if you get money down, get it down on the Falcons right now. Hopefully you're able to get 2.5. 2.5 would be amazing. 2.5 with good juice. Oh, Christmas. All of that being said, I do like the Falcons in this game, and I don't mind laying the points.
Next up, San Francisco travels to New York to take on the Giants, who are 4.5-point underdogs at home. 27% of early bettors are on the Giants. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, it looks like 3 in a row, and I mean, Giants, I guess I'll take 4.5. A lot of this has to do with injury situations. Speaking of injuries, what a terrible weekend. How many people's fantasy implications were just ruined by this weekend? Saquon Barkley looks like he's torn an ACL. Probably never be the same. I think Mostert's hurt. George Kittle is hurt. Jimmy Garoppolo is hurt. Because this line opened at what, 6.5, Big Rye?
It opened at 6.5. It's already been... I don't want to say it's been bet down. I think the line has been moved to 4.5 in anticipation that Jimmy Garoppolo might not play.
And like most players don't really move lines, even really star players, like receivers. That's going to move it less than a half point. Even the best one, like Michael Thomas, for instance. Pass rushers might move it a little bit. Quarterbacks, though, that's the big boy. That's the most important position. And 49ers without Garoppolo, yeah, it's going to hurt their value a little bit. This is a pure contest pick. I have no idea how to handicap this market with all the injuries, how to handicap it, period. I'll take the Giants and the points, but it's a contest pick.
Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders travel to New England to take on the Patriots, who are 5.5-point favorites at home. 52% of bettors, Fat Guy, are on the Pats. Who you got?
This is another close one. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're a little bit underrated, and giving them points, 5.5. I mean, it looks like a nice number, but it's not that much different than 4.5. I like if I'm betting this, I'm waiting for 6.5, and if it doesn't happen, I'm probably not going to bet it. Contest wise, though, I will be taking the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's give a little shout out though to the New England Patriots. Excuse me. I think they have a depleted roster pretty much. They have one of the weakest rosters in the league, in my opinion. But their coaching is just absolutely outstanding. They're getting away with murder as far as value paying Cam Newton. Cam Newton, not my favorite guy. Got to be perfectly honest. There you go. I dropped it in there. But he's done an incredible job. He's pretty good. I think this is a nice underrated. I hope the Pats get in wild card weekend, and maybe we can throw some money on a Super Bowl future because this is an interesting team. I'm not saying they're even going to make the playoffs, but I think they're underrated and they're sneaky good. They can keep it tight with just about anybody. Yeah, they barely beat Miami, you could say, But, they barely lost to the Seahawks in Seattle. I like the New England Patriots, even though I'm going to be taking the Las Vegas Raiders because 5.5, I think, is too many points.
Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Eagles are 5.5-point favorites at home. 49% of early bettors are on the Eagles. Who you got?
I'm going to be taking the Eagles. They were one of the games I liked last week, and the Rams ran all over them. Not ran. Rams did everything all over them. The Eagles got beat handily. And I will give Joe Burrow credit, even though he ruined my cover with a garbage touchdown. He's looked pretty good, and I wish Joe Burrow well, but I do think the Eagles at 0-2 are a little bit underrated in this spot. Not that Bengals are really as bad as people think they are, also at 0-2. I think there is a small amount of value. Even laying points, I hate laying points, but I'm going to be laying the points with the Eagles at -5.5. Because think about it, do they really deserve more than, 3.5 point favorites in this game? Considering they're 0-2 and they've had two woeful performances, we'll call them, losing to Washington and then the Rams. The odds maker doesn't put these lines out just to lose, and I feel like the public will eventually side with the Bengals. All of that being said, I think the public will like the Bengals, and that makes me like the Eagles. Eagles and lay the points.
Next up, the Washington football team travels to Cleveland to take on the Browns. The Browns are 7-point favorites at home. 79% of early bettors are on the Browns. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, it's pretty clear I didn't just dress up for nothing. Let's be honest. This is a total fake Bangladeshi Washington Redskins hat. We have the logo up there, so it's not actually the football team logo. Wearing the Redskins t-shirt. I like the skins. 7 points. Give it to me. Oddly enough, not that I'm big into handicapping, but is there a better front seven than the Washington football team? Let's call them, I guess. It's hard to argue. There's so many first-round picks: Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kerrigan, Montez Sweat. You're lining it up. Reuben Foster at some point, I would think too. This is a loaded defensive line, loaded outside linebackers. They can win games. They at least put on a little bit of a show against a really fun team in the Arizona Cardinals. Cleveland, are they really they shouldn't be 7-point favorites against anybody, really. I don't think so. And I usually wear the Browns gear or the Raiders gear. This is uninspiring for me. I don't actually like the Browns formula right now. I don't think it did very well against Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football. I like the Washington football team, 7 points, and I don't know how it's contrarian. I would imagine that these percentages will equal out throughout the week. If you can get 7 points, get it right away. 7 points and the football team.
Next up, the LA Rams travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites at home. Only 25% of early bettors are on the Bills. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, that's just it. 25% of early bettors. The Rams, Big Ryan and I talked about this earlier. We really like the Rams, but I think the betting public does now as well. So if I have to lay 2.5 points, I'm going to be taking the Bills at home. The Bills aren't a bad team. They're not. Are the Rams better than the Bills? Maybe. But we're in Buffalo, and I don't mind putting my money on the Bills. How often do you get to say that? The Bills have been good for a couple years. I think this is a reasonable matchup, even though the Rams are one of my favorite teams to watch, just because of McVay and the creativity that can espouse from that playbook. But Bills -2.5 speaks to me. Rams are on a tear, I guess. They won in primetime against Dallas. They handily beat the Eagles, it looks like, with some creativity too. I think it was a jet sweep touchdown from Robert Woods. All of that being said, give me the Bills. I don't mind laying the 2.5 points.
Let's move on to the midday games where the Jets travel to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. The Colts are 9.5-point favorites. 89% of early bettors are on the Colts. Fat guy, who you got?
We got a bet of the week. Bet of the week. I'm going to be taking the injured Jets at +9.5 for my bet of the week. If I'm betting this, I will take it at 9.5, but I want to get 10. I want to get 10.5. I'm hoping to get a few more points because worst case scenario it goes on to 7.5, and I don't bet it anymore. I mean, 7.5. The difference between 9.5 and 7.5 is almost negligible, whereas 10.5, like that's crossing over some key numbers. Indianapolis won over some betting hearts, I would imagine, by beating Minnesota. Was it in Minnesota, Big Ryan?
No, it was in Indianapolis.
Well, it's a home game, so they did very, very well on both sides of the ball, and perhaps they've written the ship. The Jets have probably, I'm going to say they look the worst out of any team in the NFL right now. So think about this. Think about it this way: if most people are betting on the Colts, the bookmaker doesn't just put out a line to lose, because it's not like they don't know that the Jets are bad, and people think the Jets are bad, and the Jets are injured. So all of that being said, I think this is a big play. I really like the Jets. Jets plus 9.5. If you can get 10 or 10.5, hammer on it. Jets and the points.
Next up, continuing with the midday games, the Carolina Panthers travel to LA to take on the Chargers. The Chargers are 6.5-point favorites at home. 66% of early bettors are on the Chargers. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, 3 weeks in a row, we're going with Carolina, who I think is an underrated team. Chargers, oh man, that's the difference between good and great teams, or even average and good teams, is closing out games. I mean, the Chargers should have won that game against the Chiefs. They really should have. And you know what almost bugs me about this? Is I feel like if they did win that game, this line would be 7 with good juice for the Panthers. Like, we put this video out. I don't love these lines. I wouldn't bet a lot of them, in real time. We have to put it out early. We don't exactly get the best lines. We try and be predictive. We try and be proactive. But some of these are just contest picks, and we are vulnerable to line movements. All of that being said, I do like the Carolina Panthers in this spot. And 6.5, I'm hoping if I do bet in real time, I'll get 7. If I'm really greedy, 7.5 points. Chargers are overvalued here. Are they that much better than the Panthers? I'm not sure.
Next up, the Dallas Cowboys travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites at home. 80% of early bettors are on the Hawks. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with a team that somehow won, but they didn't cover. And I don't know if they, the Dallas Cowboys, obviously, they recovered one of the weirdest onside kicks I've seen. It worked, so who am I to judge? Bad coaching from Atlanta. I'm taking the Cowboys against the Red Hot Hawks. I have this weird rule where I don't like betting against the best teams in the NFL. I don't think the Seahawks are one of the best teams. I actually think they have a really poor roster. But Russell Wilson, I really believe, is one of the best players in the NFL, if not the best. I will tout that throughout the year. And it's hard to bet against him, but I do think the lines are inflated every week, much like Tom Brady and the Patriots of the past. All of that being said, 4.5, I feel like it's a 3.5 game. There's a few percentage points of value betting on the Dallas Cowboys. I like the Cowboys. I like the points. Let's roll.
Next up, the Detroit Lions travel to Arizona to take on the Red Hot Cardinals. Cardinals are 6.5-point favorites. 56% of early bettors are on the Cardinals. Fat guy, who you got?
Well, yeah, Red Hot Cardinals, so I'm going to take the garbage Lions. 6.5, though. It's a total contest pick. I want 7 for at least a push frequency, and if I'm greedy, 7.5 with good juice. That would be the dream. I do like the Lions in this spot. The Cardinals are a fun team. They're talented, and Cliff Kingsbury has maybe turned out to be somewhat competent of a coach. I say that tentatively because very few coaches at the NFL level seem to satisfy Big Rye or I because they don't bring the mustard. All of that being said, Cardinals, should they be favorites? Yes. 6.5, probably too much. This is really just a contest pick unless I get my magic number of 7 or 7.5. I don't like betting on the Lions. You think I like betting on the Lions? No. However, think about how many people are probably going to bet on the Cardinals. Wait for this line to move and then take the Lions at 7 or 7.5.
Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers travel to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos, who are 6-point underdogs at home. 41% of early bettors are on the Broncos. Fat Guy, who you got?
Well, I'm going to be taking the Denver Broncos. It looks like 3 weeks in a row. I mean, you know what's fun about uninspiring teams is I feel like we're getting juiced lines. And I actually think the Broncos have a home field advantage. You have to travel to Denver. You have to travel with a high altitude. The Bucs are overvalued. This is really close to my play of the week, even though the Broncos did me well last week. Depending on the line, you could have covered 2 weeks in a row with the Broncos. I like the Broncos. 6 points is fine. I actually like them at 3.5, to be honest. 3 would be the no betting line for me. If I'm greedy, maybe I get it at 6.5, maybe I get it at 7, waiting for the public to dump money on them. But despite all the injuries, I don't think the Broncos are really that bad a team regardless. 6 points at home, this seems strange to me, and it seems like a complete Bucs overvaluation.
And on to the Sunday night game where the Green Bay Packers travel to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are 3.5-point favorites at home. 55% of early bettors are on the Saints. Fat Guy, I know who Dylan Toddfield has, but who do you got?
Well, we're going to have to cue the music, because one of our viewers pointed out that we were missing with it. And I'm going to take the Saints. Do I like laying 3.5? No. Against a competent team in the Packers? Absolutely not. But I like the Saints in this spot. And I actually think this is just really a contest pick. But I will be laying money if it gets down to 3 with good juice. The Saints, there is some value with them. I mean, I think 4.5 is a break even, but there's a little bit of meat on the bone at 3.5. A little bit. I think there is, if you take out margin of error, I think 3 is a good number with good juice. 2.5, you can unload the clip and do like a 3-unit bet. I like the Saints. I don't mind laying the points. Saints, strong team, home. There is some home field advantage. It's not much. Last year it wasn't, and especially not having fans in the stadium. But Saints, like I had mentioned before, has some sort of natural aura to it. Not quite like the altitude of Denver, but I do like the Saints. I don't mind laying the points.
And on to Monday Night Football, where it's probably going to be the game of the season, where the Kansas City Chiefs are traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who are early 3-point favorites at home. 59% of early bettors are on the Ravens. Fat Guy, who you got?
I get points. I get the Chiefs. Chiefs plus 3. Thank you, Jamie. I mean, I'm no disrespect to the Ravens. They're great. But, I mean, I'm getting points with the Chiefs. It's, regardless of what happens, how do I give that prospect up? Chiefs and the points is just gravy to me. And this, you are right, this should be the game of the season. Of course, we're going to hype it up, and then nothing's going to happen that's worthwhile. But, I mean, these are probably the 2 strongest teams in the NFL as it stands. And you can get 3 points with the Chiefs. I feel like that's complete gravy. I'm just more interested in this game as a fan. But contest-wise, give me the Chiefs.
All right, Fat Guy, on to the lightning round. Let's start off with Miami at Jacksonville.
Miami Dolphins.
Houston at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Tennessee at Minnesota.
The lowly Vikings.
Bears Falcons.
The lowly Falcons.
49ers at the Jets.
At the Giants, and I will take the lowly Giants.
Thank you very much. The Las Vegas Raiders at the New England Patriots.
I'm actually going to switch that pick to the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Cincinnati Bengals at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles laying the points.
Washington Football Team at the Cleveland Browns.
I'm going Redskins and the points.
Rams at Bills.
We're going with the Bills. We're going with the home team.
Jets at Colts.
Bet of the week, the New York Jets.
Panthers at Chargers.
We're going Carolina 3 in a row.
Dallas at Seattle.
Dallas Cowboys.
Detroit at Arizona.
Ugly one, Detroit Lions.
Bucks at Broncos.
Broncos and the points.
Packers Saints.
Saints laying the points.
And Chiefs at Baltimore.
Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, Fat Guy, we want to wish a big congratulations to the Week 1 winner of the Picks Against the Spread contest, and that was Can't Think of a Name 1. He went 14-2, good for 88%. So congratulations Can't think of a name. Fat Guy, what did he win?
He won a T-shirt, and he also got a nicely worded email from myself. We had a nice exchange, actually. 14-2. If you don't like, sometimes I catch flack in the comment section, and we're only 12-9, so we should. We're calling on ourselves. If you want advice and you just want to go on results, this guy went 14-2. That's very tough to do. I can relay the information to him. I'm sure he'll make his picks public before the weekend. 14-2 is an incredible record for a weekend.
All right, Fat Guy, and we also want to wish a congratulations to the early 2020 Week 2 leaders. Still Monday Night Football to play, but congratulations to Billy369, Boo Muck, and Jeezy007. You guys have gone 12-3 for the week, so congratulations. And we'll take a look at the rest of the leaders. We also have Insert Clever Pun, Call of Duty, Guns and Arrows, all at 11-4, as well as My Pitbull Hates Jimmy G, It Hurts When I Fart, Happyish Boltman, and Estebe, all at 10-5. So congratulations, guys, for making it to the top 10. 12-3, 11-4, 10-5. Excellent records. Way to make money this weekend. Fat Guy, let's look at the leaderboard for the picks against the spread. Overall, we have Insert Clever Fun at 23-8. Good for 74%. Your thoughts on the overall leader after 2 weeks?
Look at these records. They're unbelievable. I don't want to throw water on them. I want to wish you a good season, but I don't think these percentages are sustainable. I want them to do it. I want 74% for a year. That would be unbelievable. It is going to come down. That's just the nature of things. It's hard to win that many coin flips, but congratulations, Insert Clever Pun. I hope I get to send you a trophy at the end of the year.
This is the JS715 Name of the Week. Whoa, kaboom!
If you won't take the Jags, I will. Boy, was he right. That's the pick I regretted. I laid 10.5 points in a divisional game with the Tennessee Titans. What was I doing? There's a classic Fat Guy pick. Take the points, take the dog, and I didn't do it, and look what happened. Didn't cover. Underdoggy covers duh. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Further hammering the point away. Fade the public, tail the Fat Guy. This guy's just being really nice to me, considering I've gone 12-19. Not so strong in the first 2 weeks. Fat Guy's moobs sweat. I do have a case of gynecomastia, I believe, but there isn't too much sweat in between, but I will let you know if it does. Steven Goat Gostowski, poking a little bit of fun at the the Titans lackluster kicker. Gostowski calling him the GOAT. It might actually be true, but not if you're counting that Monday performance. And this is a name that's used often, but we have to give it a shout out. Kitchener Leslie's girlfriend. Little Norm Macdonald shout out. One of my favorite comedians. And I brought a little special gift. Norm hand wrote me a poem in his, autobiography. So it's just right in there. Boom. See if I can even open this up. I'm not good at that type of thing. Boom. So, huge Norm fan. So I'll give you a little bit of window into my life. My favorite possession, a signed book from Norm Macdonald. Now we got to go to the winner.
And on to the winner. JS715 name of the week, Fat Guy, is?
I want to pet the rabbit, George. Now, the part I like about this is, am I really Lenny? Am I? I'm the one with, I'm dashing. I lead the charge as far as the vocals go. Big Rye is a straight guy, and I'm Lenny, and he's George. Size reasons, I'll give you size reasons. I'm the big, dopey, fat guy. My name's Fat Guy on this channel. He's a small, smart one. Really, I'm Lenny. I loved it, though. If you can shout out John Steinbeck in any fashion and make it like a dubious insult, that's fantastic. I want to pet the rabbit, George. That is the name of the week.
So you guys can make your picks for week 3 at BigRyanTheFatGuy.com. We also have a link in the description that you can follow if you're too lazy to type all that in. And remember, there's a $100 prize, US dollars, which is big in Canada, for the most regular season wins in the picks contest. So remember to continue participating, and you have a chance at winning $100 for coming first. Fat Guy, that's it for our Week 3 picks against the spread. You have any final thoughts that you want to pass on to the viewers?
I thoroughly have enjoyed the Sunday Night Football, and it doesn't fail to deliver. What a great game, Seattle, New England. I was on the losing end of it, but it comes down to one play. Very impressed with the NFL so far, considering all the circumstances surrounding it.
And good luck for your Week 3 picks.